The next aspect I'm going to be covering is nonverbal leakage. Nonverbal leakage is bodily communication other than words and language. This most often comes across with facial expressions, eye movement, slouching, touching, possibly your arm movements or positions. Those are our most common forms that we think about. But the other forms that maybe you don't realize are nonverbal leakage is smell, personal appearance, and the proximity. Latin Americans tend to want to be in your personal space. Americans tend to want their personal space. Say someone comes in with a lot of tattoos or piercings. The communication you get from that without him even speaking a word is nonverbal leakage. One version of nonverbal leakage is a tell sign. I'm sure all of you know someone that has a tell sign. You may not know that's what it's called, but a tell is an action that reveals what a person is thinking, and that person may not even realize they're doing it. For instance, President George W. Bush used to bite the inside of his cheek when he was feeling anxious. President Bill Clinton would bite his bottom lip when he was being sincere. I have a friend that when he wants to tell me something, but he's a little anxious or hesitant to tell me, he has this particular facial movement that he'll do, and I say, okay, what is it? What are you wanting to tell me? So you may give off one of these expressions and your friends know that that means you're sad, mad, or hesitant about something. Where we can most relate this to is in the gambling industry. Players will study their opponents extensively on video to see what kind of movement they can relate to their hands. Maybe they scratch their face when they have just a mediocre hand, or they'll play with their chip when they have a very good hand. They'll take on and off their sunglasses. Anything they can relate to what kind of cards that player is having. So they do this in order to win the game. So they can be very good means of communication without even saying a word. Some interesting nonverbal differences between our two countries is in the UK, if they want you to keep something quiet, they'll tap the side of their nose. That's an indication for it to be kept confidential. Whereas in the US, when we tell a secret and we don't want anybody to say, we may put our finger in front of our lips and kind of give the impression of going shh. So that was interesting. But if you tap the front side of your nose in the UK, it means mind your own business. Also, eye contact is not normally kept during conversations when in the UK. They feel like you're staring at them and find it uncomfortable. Whereas in the US, we want to make eye contact to make sure you're paying attention, that you understand, and to also show that we have confidence in what we're saying to you. So those were some interesting differences between our two cultures. In the upcoming videos, we will be portraying nonverbal communication. In the first one, it will be a meeting between two British citizens. The businesswoman will pass something to the businessman and nonverbally say it's confidential. In the second video, the same situation, but it will be a British businesswoman and an American businessman. See how different the outcomes are. Our legal teams have drawn up this contract, and it hasn't been released to anyone else.
Okay, gotcha.
So I appreciate your cooperation with that, and look forward to pursuing this.
You're welcome.
Our legal team has drawn up this contract showing the terms outlined. It hasn't been released to anyone else.
I'm sorry, do I have something on my face?
No.
Then what is it?
Perhaps you don't understand. I probably should take this back. The next two videos are still covering nonverbal leakage, but we're going to use eye contact as an example. In the first video, it will be two British citizens using eye contact in a meeting. The second will be the same situation, but it will be a British businessman and an American businesswoman. We normally ship rail car, but is that even going to be an option with these fragile dishes?
Well, I guess that's going to have to be determined after the packaging is selected. Either way, it's going to increase the time it takes to load a car.
Question of how many more rail cars can be answered until we get the final product dimensions and packaging specs.
True. We'll take it from there.
We normally ship rail car. Is that even going to be an option with these fragile dishes?
Well, that's going to have to be determined after the packaging is selected. Either way, it's going to increase the time to load a car, so therefore there'll be fewer products per load.
How many more rail cars do you think?
That's going to be determined after the packaging is selected.
Are you paying attention to me?
Yeah, but I just can't understand why you keep staring at me, though.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to make eye contact and make sure that you understand.
Well, it's very uncomfortable for me that you keep staring at me while we're trying to do business here.
I just don't understand you, Grits. In summary, nonverbal aspect, not all signs are created equal. Body language can be interpreted differently depending on the cultural environment. The sign in the British meeting to tap the side of their nose meant to be confidential. In America, it came across as maybe trying to tell the person, the American, that something was on his face. So it's important to know the different business cultures to avoid this type of confusion. Eye contact can be interpreted in different ways as well. Lack of eye contact to Americans could be interpreted as lack of attention or no interest in the subject, whereas constant eye contact to the Britons could be interpreted as staring and very uncomfortable. So if you're going to have a meeting with mixed cultures, kind of study up so you don't come across as rude, obnoxious, uncaring, unattentive, or make them uncomfortable. I thank you for your time today. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Should you have any further questions on nonverbal leakage or using humor in business, please feel free to contact me at tlbarham@memphis.edu. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions you may have. Again, thank you.